bit of week of bullshit, to be perfectly honest.
Oh no.
Not a ton of uh, things, but like, for example, last Friday rather, my editing PC exploded, and it
Oh no!
did that thing where it's like, it's time for me to go now,
It's time to die.
and you're like, cool. Well, I don't go I don't dust off the old like get in there gloves too often, but all right, let's set up shop. Let's open up the case. Let's look at what's going on. Let's do a fucking diagnostic. And it's like, oh, okay, this seems pretty straightforward. You rip it open. Looks like the power supply looks like that died or so. Okay,
It's
cool.
always the power supply with me. That's literally the same thing I've run into like 10 times.
And like looks like I'm getting a light off of the motherboard, so we're still seem to be okay on that. Go get new power supply, install that, do all the wiring up, put it back, and still nothing. And it's like, what the fuck's going on? Um, this take it apart, take a look again,
Yeah.
and okay, now the motherboard is fried. Well, that
Oh
sucks because the
good.
light was on a moment ago. So
Glad it waited to determine that until after you came back.
yeah, and so at that point, I'm just like, I don't have time for this. So that's where I call in someone that can come in and help get things going, because the process needs to we need to have I need to have it able to get the episodes out pretty quickly, because everything that
Yeah.
I'm streaming has a very tight turnaround from the day it streams
Hmm.
till when it pops up live. So anyway, just computer foibles and bullshit.
That reminds me of the last time I had a very similar issue. The power supply went, and I delayed my shit by a couple days. And a nice man drove to my house, picked up my computer, went home, fixed it, and came back. And I
Hmm.
paid him like $200 or whatever it was plus the part. And I was inundated with people going, "You can just fix it yourself. It's
Hmm.
no problem. It's
Hmm.
not hard." And it's like, I know enough about personal computer repair that it's not hard until it is. And the difference between whether or not it's going to be a quick fix or a serious problem is impossible to determine until, as you discovered, you fucking replaced a piece yourself and went,
Hmm.
"Oh, it still doesn't work."
Yeah.
And also, in our particular situations, if this thing dies, ain't no work happening.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing.
I just asked you, is that the same
Yeah,
person?
give me a second. It seems familiar.
Okay. Well, in any case, yeah, I basically just hit a point where I'm like, look, I realize I'm like, I know I can pull this whole thing apart and and do a full piece
Yes,
check
it
on
was this
everything.
guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you
right
called the
on.
same guy.
Shout outs to KSK Computers, friendly gentleman, came right over within
Put it in
that
the
same
trunk of his
day.
car.
Yep. And just kind of went, okay, here's what's up. And I'm like, and basically just went like, looks like you're gonna like, it was either wait to order old, parts that are older to replace it, or just get new shit. And I was like, yeah, just get the new shit and transfer it over. And so
Hmm.
basically just managed to get the problem solved, and I have a new editing PC up and running within, and it was within 24 hours. So I really appreciated that. So
Yeah,
um,
it was the same thing. I called those guys, and he picked it up, and he's like, "Could take 2, 3 days," and then he calls me back 4 hours later,
yeah.
and is like, "Yeah, it's done. I did it."
Yeah, so that was very cool. And the like anyway, yeah, when you're taking this apart, and you're like, I can definitely, I don't want to do this. I don't have the time to do this, but yes, I could sit here and just fucking, fumble about these pieces. But like, yeah, I don't know. Those were there was once upon a time. Like I was kind of describing it because like Punch Mom was watching me do it, and it was kind of like, oh, like, do you kind of enjoy like getting in there and stuff? And I'm like, I don't mind getting inside the computer and piecing it together and building it and stuff, but the main thing, right, because like we are talking about it, like comparing it to like working under the hood of a car or whatever, and it's like,
Hmm.
the thing with this is, I am excited to open up a case and do stuff when I'm putting something new in, and
Yeah.
I enjoy the upgrade process. When
Ooh, I'm gonna
something
put
is,
some new RAM in. Ooh,
yeah,
new card. Clunk, clunk.
you know, or whatever it is, whether if I'm going into a positive, right? But if it's something's broken and I have to diagnose what it is and then fix it, that sucks. That's not fun. I don't
Yeah,
enjoy that process,
diagnostic like troubleshooting is miserable.
you know. So that's
And
the whole
like
difference.
the issue I always had with diagnostic troubleshooting is that I would always hit a point doing it where it's like, well, I need duplicates of multiple pieces in my PC to that I know work
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
remove these from the possible failure state, but I don't have a duplicate motherboard CPU to shove in there to test whether or not it's the motherboard CPU.
Exactly, exactly. You know, which and I mean, admittedly, like the fact that I was getting like, um, not even to the point of a BIOS boot where I'd get the beeps to figure out what's going on. It was literally just like fucking
Oh yeah.
straight dead. So I'm like, okay, that simplifies the process. But you know, anything that you can anything that gets broken down the chain reaction takes longer and longer to diagnose because there's more moving parts, so to speak. You know. So anyway, um, that's all fun and nice to deal with. But you know, problem solved, and ultimately now it's like, okay, just got a new replacement computer that's, you know, faster, better, stronger, can do the editing better, and that's all nice. But pre-installed Windows 11. Please enjoy.
Oh, you get to have the experience now.
Man, they are dedicated to having a fucked up OS every second time around. It's so disgusting, and it's been the same. I can't believe years later, like 20 years later, it's the same shit where you're like, yep, the first thing they put out is trash, and then there's going to be some like outrage that leads to a fix or a reasonable version that comes along way later, and then they put out another version that's garbage again. It's fucking horrible. Um,
It's it's wild that I have to make sure to click the right button every time I restart my computer so that I don't accidentally poison my computer with Windows 11.
Yeah, they really just, and like their philosophy has like not changed at all. It, like the whole the same company that thinks it's like a good idea to have these desperate like pleas for you to not install Chrome, and like every time you come back to it, it gets more and more aggressive, you know, and like there's all like 8 steps
Please,
along the
man, come
way.
on. Chrome's good, man, but you know, Edge.
Edge will
Ooh.
suck your dick. Like, come
I
on,
don't care,
man.
man. You can
Come
keep that.
on.
You can keep
Please.
that.
Please.
I don't give a shit.
It is so desperate. But anyway,
Edge
and
has one purpose on your computer, and that purpose is when a website breaks in Chrome, you go and load it up into Edge to see if it's a Chrome issue.
yeah, they're really desperate. But anyway, that the same place that thinks that that's a great idea also has all these design things where they're like, okay, one, we're just gonna like remix the start menu again to make it this time just kind of copy Mac OS stuff. So every like main point of interest on the shortcut bar is now moved to the center, like it has been for Mac OSs for like a long time. You know, and we're just gonna shift it over and then put where the old start menu was a widget box so that you can get all these widget apps available once you sign into your Microsoft account, of course, which really, if you don't do so, you're not getting the full functionality of Windows 11. And
Sounds like
every
I'm good to just not do that then.
it's and like every other thing is like, hey, yeah, this is a new thing, it's available here, just please sign in, please, you really want to sign in,
Nah, not
you
gonna
know.
do that. I don't use any of Microsoft's built-in programs ever.
And they still are doing the thing where um like I remember, god, what version of it, what I think it was like when they went from like 7 to 9 initially or so, like there's always a thing where like for example, okay, here, when they introduced the metro layout, right, and the Metro is all over the place. And like you want to edit, for example, your sound options, right? When you plug in your mic, you want to set line in, line out, and turn off all that bullshit that like fucks up the sound and everything that you do when you plug in a mic. Um, and there's always the initial setting, but then when there's a new layout like Metro, it'll just obfuscate one of those things with a top layer of bullshit. So there'll be like the Metro sound window that gives you less options. It fits nicely into this box shit we're showing you, but you want to just go to advanced and get back to the old one that has all the things you're looking for, right? And it's always layered behind doors like a fucking Geese Howard stage, right? Where you're putting more obfuscation in front of the player, in front of the user. And so now with Windows 11, they're doing that shit again, where they have like this app layout thing that's basically like tablets and phones are all doing this. So we're just going to do the tablet phone thing. And if you want to get to control panel, like that's buried behind this new settings tab that is like, do you want any of these? None of the things are what you want. They're all app settings and bullshit. And you have to go advanced and then find the original control panel, which is not the original control panel. It's the new control panel from like I think it was like whatever, like maybe 2 or 3 versions ago. And then in that you can go find your further settings. So they just like to put, instead of actually like addressing the core, they just put a makeup on top of a top layer and obfuscate the options that you need to actually adjust windows and settings by putting something that is completely nonsensical on top of it and making it feel like it's a new OS.
You know, it's funny because I was actually talking to Paige about this 2 days ago, in which we were talking about Apple layout, and I'm like, I have never been able to figure out how to use Apple's layout consistently, which is weird because it's supposed to be so user facing and user experience and like for anybody can use it. But the problem I always ran into on an iPhone when I used it was I want to get to this setting and I know this setting exists and I legitimately cannot figure out how to get past the baseline doesn't really fuck up anything settings on the phone to get to the guts of it, because I want the guts. Like I picked up the phone and immediately wanted to mess with the guts, but it's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You could fuck something up. We're going to hide it 5 layers deep underneath a bunch of weird hippie language.
Oh, ultimately.
And it's like,
yeah, ultimately the point of a lot of this stuff is to hide the guts so that you can't, so that grandma can't fuck it up, you know? And
yeah, 100%.
That's been the move, and that's been the successful one by making things kind of dummy proof. But it's always a fucking like guffaw when like you have to actually to change some sort of setting. For example, to change to do things as simple as like I want to show the known extensions, right? Because every time you have a new Windows thing, it hides the file extension types by default, and you always go,
why?
Stop it,
Why?
show me them, don't hide all the I want to see it. I want to
extensions.
see my fucking folders. I want to see what's going on in them, you know, whatever. And like that same thing, it's in the same place it's always been. It's still in your folder options, right? Globally. And same thing for file extension associations. Like I want to put my own, you know, video player. I want to put all that shit, and it's in the same place. But like you're literally pulling up the Windows XP Service Pack 3 like window that it's always been. But it's just you had to click more things to get to that point, you know, because like it's not even let's save grandma. It's more just like we really want you to use this as a glorified phone
As
tablet with
intended.
your Windows. Yeah. And we don't want you to really browse the internet. We want you to browse the Microsoft Store for everything you want, you know? If you're going to install any
I will never
program,
do.
don't install that program. Go to the Microsoft Store and install the app version instead.
Oh, you mean the app that's going to like lock out a partition of my hard drive and I can't get it back?
You know, or that like
There's a Phantasy Star Online 2 partition on my fucking SSD that I can't get rid of because it says I don't have fucking admin privileges
Wow.
and won't let me uninstall it.
or that is not or is treated separately from like everything else in your normal like end taskbar, you know, and where you can control its settings and its launch, you know, options and such. Like it's, yeah, it is an aggressively dumb practice that they just refuse to get rid of, and they seem to just like all these years later, it's still a good idea to just make it like, you know, if we take away your options and or hide them in more obtuse places and put the new thing in front of you, you'll eventually just get fed up and walk away from it and leave it alone, you know. And so I kind of left off like putting some basics on, and then Min was going to take care of the rest, and like he was kind of like, oh god, well I guess, you know, time to learn this thing. And within like minutes he's just like, okay, so you can install your own video players, and you can and reset your file extension associations, of course, but you can't get but some formats it won't let you replace the default. For example, so MP4s are going to launch in Windows Movie Player, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it.
Are you serious?
And I'm like, hold on, stop. Go to the registry level, edit it on a registry level, like beyond everything else. And he's like, yeah, so that's how you used to have to do it if it refused you beforehand, and now it's like, nope, that doesn't work anymore. You can't do a reg edit to get the association working, so it's going to take some other workaround or solution for the most basic playing an MP4 in the program of your choice, you know? Like, they're making it more and more aggressive, and like it's stupid, but it's just like I fucking, I don't know. You always kind of look and go like, well, okay, your alternatives are, I guess, yeah, go learn Mac OS, go learn Linux. There's always those options, and you know, you'll kind of have to deal with whatever programs are, you know, running and supported on those things. But for the basic like gist of like, okay, well, we edit with these programs and use these codecs and do this shit, we're kind of stuck with what we're doing.
For the purposes of us in particular, it's like, hey man, I want to play and stream PC games. I'm not gonna fucking start doing that through Wine or Boot Camp. That's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, you know, this is, like I said, this is the editing setup, and was not my main, but if it certainly gets bad enough, reverting to Windows 10 is probably just going to be the move for it. But at the moment, it was just about like a speedy solution so that we could get, you know, our shit out on time. But
Windows
anyway,
10 is going to be in that situation where in a couple of years they're going to be like, we're stopping putting PC updates out for Windows 10. If you continue to use Windows 10, your PC will be unsafe to browser attacks, yada yada. And like the vast majority of people are going to go, yeah, okay, fine. Don't care. And then you're going to see articles about how like, oh, ransomware attacked because there's a 10 million unsecured fucking PCs. It's like, yeah, no, because no one cares. I'm not gonna get fucking ransomware. I don't download fucking stupid random shit.
No, so the dumber this gets, the more likely it's just like, yes, revert to old Windows. That being said, I can report to you all here today that Windows 11 is ass, and you should stay away from it.
Oh, goody! I was wondering.
Until further updates.
I was not wondering, by the way. I knew in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. Like, I remember when, like, we've talked about this a couple times, but like, literally, like when it came to like Photoshop, different versions, people are just like, just give me 7, leave me alone, right? Okay, 7, and then like at a certain point, CS2 perhaps, and then leave me alone.
In my experience, people talking about Photoshop versions, they're like, which version of Photoshop should I use? And somebody pulls a USB stick out of their pocket and goes, this one.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they go, what version is that? And the person with the USB stick goes, I don't care.
The good one. Anyway, some of those foibles, always a good time.